Now let's talk about menstruation. For most women, menstruation is a red flag. It's something they do not want to experience. But for every woman who has attained the childbearing age, beginning at puberty, it is something most women do not escape. Though there are very few women who do not menstruate. We shall talk about that in our subsequent videos. Now, what is menstruation? Menstruation is the shedding of the endometrial layer of the uterus. It begins on the first day of the menstrual cycle and it lasts between 3 to 5 days in some women who have a normal cycle. After the menstruation, which begins the menstrual phase, the menstrual cycle has three phases. The first is the menstrual phase, the second is the proliferative phase, and the third is the secretive phase. The menstrual phase is the shedding of the endometrium of the uterus. The endometrium is the topmost layer that is shed with the released ovum during menstruation. After the shedding, we have the proliferative phase. At this proliferative phase, the shed layer is trying to regenerate. That means it is trying to come back. After the proliferative phase, you now have the ovulation, that is the release of the egg. Remember, ovulation does not occur in the uterus, it occurs in the ovary. But once ovulation occurs in the ovary, the fallopian tube takes the released ova or ovum down into the endometrium of the uterus. So after the proliferative phase, you have the ovulation, then you now have the secretive phase. At the release of the ovum, the secretive phase prepares the ovum or the ova for implantation, meaning that if a woman meets a man at the release of the ovum or ova, there is going to be fertilization, and after fertilization, the fertilized ovum becomes a zygote and it is going to be implanted in the endometrium of the uterus. If there is no fertilization, it means there is not going to be any implantation. Hence, both the released ova and the endometrium that has been prepared is going to be shed down, and this occurs in the secretory phase. Once the shedding begins, it means that another menstrual phase has begun. And that is why I tell you that the menstrual cycle is a cyclic period that occurs continuously in the life of any woman who has attained the reproductive or childbearing age. The similarity between ovulation and menstruation is that both of them occurs from the reproductive organ. Though the ovary is attached to the uterus, but the flow of fluid comes out through the vagina. In both ovulation and menstruation, the woman feels breast tenderness or slight breast pain. Then there's this nauseous feeling that women feel when they both ovulate and menstruate. Another thing is that the two of them has flow of fluid. Though for ovulation it is a very small amount of fluid which is whitish or egg white. Then for menstruation it is real blood flow.